Every Friday at exactly 5 p.m., the aroma of chicken noodle soup would drift from Marcy's corner deli out into the street. It was a small shop on the edge of Brooklyn, unremarkable to most, but it held a ritual as sacred as any church service. Marcy Bennett, the deli's owner, would ladle out a steaming bowl, wrap up a turkey sandwich, and tuck a chocolate chip cookie into a paper bag. Then, she'd walk outside, place it on the bench across the street, and go back inside. She never waited. Never asked questions. And the little boy who took it never said thank you. He'd scurry out from behind the alley, hair matted, eyes alert like a deer in headlights, grab the bag, and vanish again. Every week. Rain or snow. For 10 years. Marcy's quiet promise. Marcy had no idea who he was or where he slept. All she knew was that something about his small frame and silent stare reminded her of her own son, Caleb, gone now, claimed by a drunk driver on a snowy December night. After the funeral, Marcy had drowned in grief. Friends said time would heal. But nothing ever truly did, except the Fridays. The boy never knew it, but feeding him became her therapy. Her purpose. She called him Friday. The years pass. Time moved. The boy grew taller, his eyes more focused. Sometimes he'd nod after taking the food. Once, he left a folded napkin behind with a single word written in shaky letters, "Thanks." Still, they never spoke. By the 10th year, Marcy's hands had begun to ache. The deli wasn't as busy anymore. Big chains had opened nearby. Some weeks, she could barely pay rent. Friends told her to stop the free meals. But Marcy couldn't. It was never about charity. It was connection. Until one Friday, he didn't come. A new face. 3 weeks passed. Then 4. Still no sign of the boy. Marcy worried. Was he hurt? Had he left town? One evening, as she was about to close the shop, a sharply dressed young man stepped in. Suit pressed, eyes warm but unsure. He looked around as if walking through a memory. "You're Marcy." She nodded. "My name is Elijah." The name hit her like a rush of cold air. "I was Friday," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "The boy you fed." She stared, stunned. Her eyes welled. "I got into trouble a lot. Slept under bridges. Stole shoes. But that sandwich every week, it kept me alive. It reminded me someone cared. You reminded me." A full-circle gift. Elijah told her everything. How he ended up in foster care, then met a social worker who helped him. How he finished high school, got a scholarship. How he recently graduated from Columbia University, first in his class, computer science. "I have a job now," he smiled. "And I'd like to give something back." She protested, but he shook his head. "You saved my life every week for a decade. Now it's my turn." 2 months later, Marcy's Corner Deli had a full renovation. A glowing new sign. A donation box for the local shelter. A menu board titled Friday's Favorites. Business picked up, and so did her spirit. The deli became a community hub. And every Friday, Elijah came by, not for food, but to serve others with her. On the first anniversary of their reunion, Marcy asked Elijah, "Why did you come back after all those years?" He smiled gently. "I made a promise to myself, if I ever made it out, I'd find the woman who fed my body when I had nothing, and feed her soul for the rest of her life." In a world often too fast to notice the invisible, one woman's quiet act of kindness lit a fire that burned through 10 years of darkness. Marcy fed a boy. He grew into a man. And together, they fed the world with hope. Because sometimes, the smallest act of love becomes the loudest echo across time.